Friday, September 23rd, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including new charges against a former Stratford High teacher who wrestled with students, grease thieves in Orange, and a watering ban in effect for some towns in the area. We also have a rundown of the top stories of the week, and Frank Granito will have your Nutmeg Sports update and a look at the forecast. Donald Eng will join us later to take a look back on this day in history. But first, a Stratford High teacher forced to resign in March after he admitted wrestling with students has now been charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy. That, according to Hearst, Connecticut media. 47-year-old Greg Allen Gustafson of Union Street in Stamford was charged Wednesday with 4th-degree sexual assault, 2nd-degree strangulation, and risk of injury to a minor. Gustafson was arrested in June and charged with tampering with a witness, bribing a witness, and tampering with evidence after police said he tried to convince a 19-year-old student not to tell police and school officials that he had been wrestling with him. Police said that on February 23rd, a parent of a 19-year-old and his 15-year-old brother said she had come home from the grocery store to find Gustafson wrestling around with her older son on the living room floor. The 19-year-old later told police that after his mother left the house, Gustafson had suggested that the two brothers and their 14-year-old friend go down to the basement to wrestle around. Sometime later, police said the mother of the 14-year-old boy complained that her son had been unusually quiet after coming home from the brother's house. When she had pressed him, the boy had broken into tears and admitted that something bad had happened there. In a subsequent interview, police said the boy told them that during the basement wrestling match, Gustafson had allegedly strangled him with his coat and then grabbed the boy's genitals. Gustafson was a math teacher at Stratford High. He was put on administrative leave last year and later resigned. And the 27-year-old paraplegic son of actress Mia Farrow fatally shot himself in the torso before being found in his vehicle along a Connecticut road. That, according to the state medical examiner's office Thursday. The New York Post reports that Thaddeus Wilk Farrow was found seriously wounded in his car in Roxbury on Wednesday, about 8 miles from his mother's home in neighboring Bridgewater. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The medical examiner's office determined that the cause of death was suicide during an autopsy. State police had said there was no criminal element to that death. Mia Farrow wrote in a Twitter posting on Thursday that her family is devastated by Thaddeus's death. And the Connecticut Post reports that bullets flew from at least one car to another in front of Harding High School on Thursday. A male victim was taken to Bridgeport Hospital after being shot in the neck around 6 in the evening. The man, who has not been identified by police, was driving his car when he was shot and then drove bleeding to the intersection of Boston Avenue and Bond Street, where he then crashed. According to police, he will likely survive, but the injury is serious, and police are exploring motive and suspects. With the investigation ongoing, police did not respond to questions about the early reports of the shooting. And a silver alert has been issued for 17-year-old Marley Hinckley of New Haven. She is described as a white female with brown hair and brown eyes. She stands about 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs about 120 pounds. Hinckley went missing Thursday, and anyone with information about her whereabouts should call police at 203-946-6316. And in other news, 2 men tried stealing cooking grease from an Outback steakhouse in Orange last week, according to police. On September 12th, a box truck was seen in the parking lot of the closed restaurant on Marsh Hill Road. An investigation found that 2 men operating the truck were trying to remove the restaurant's grease from an outside container with the purpose of reselling it. Jaquay Rowe, 20 years old, and Charles Green, 27, both of Queens, New York, were arrested on Thursday in connection to the theft. Both men were held on $1,000 bonds and charged with 6th-degree larceny. An Aquarian water company working in cooperation with town and city officials in Darien, Greenwich, Stamford, and New Canaan is implementing a mandatory ban on the use of outdoor watering devices, including irrigation systems, sprinkler, and soaker hoses. That ban is effective immediately. Aquarian will be reminding customers about the watering ban with automated phone calls. Outdoor watering activities using a handheld hose will be allowed for the time being. Aquarian is telling customers to turn off the irrigation system and sprinklers for the season to ensure that there is adequate water supply for everyday use and fire protection. Connecticut's drought level has recently been upgraded to a severe drought for most of the state due to an extended dry spell. With below average rainfall and extremely high water demand, water levels in Aquarian's reservoirs are continuing to decline. And according to the Ridgefield Press, the national debate on refugees settling in the U.S. erupted in Ridgefield last week. Recently, a group of residents there started a refugee resettlement committee. The committee's informational meeting at the library last Thursday was attended by numerous people who oppose the committee's goal of giving a refugee family a start in the U.S. by housing and supporting them in Ridgefield. Audience members questioned the vetting process, asked what supporting a family would cost the community and town taxpayers, and wondered why townspeople couldn't vote on the committee's resettlement project. According to the Ridgefield Press, emotions ran high at that meeting. Ridgefielder Linda Lavelle attended and expressed her concerns to the press. She said she wasn't worried that the refugees would be terrorists, but that they'd bring cultural attitudes incompatible with American lifestyles. The Resettlement Committee is working with Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services. That's an organization based in New Haven and affiliated with the Episcopalian Church. Committee Chair Michael Retker explained more about the vetting process that refugees go through before being sent to local communities. He said those refugees are subject to extensive review in two areas before being accepted to come into the country. First, they must be in fact found to be refugees, and then to extensive security reviews of their identities, backgrounds, and other information. There's a lot more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. We're going to switch gears and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you very much, Kate. Partly sunny skies today with warm conditions, and it is very humid outside. A high of 84 degrees, but that number is going to feel a lot closer to 90. And we can expect an on and off breeze throughout the afternoon to go along with it. Mostly cloudy overnight, and there is the possibility for a shower or two before Saturday morning. We'll see the temperatures drop down to about 60 degrees. Tomorrow morning, there's a chance for one final shower early on, but we should see mostly sunny skies by the time that FCX tailgate kicks off at 11:15. Very comfortable tomorrow with an expected high of only 70 degrees, but it will be very windy with gusts between 15 to 25 miles per hour until late in the afternoon. Clear skies overnight, and it will cool down all the way to 48 degrees as we head to Sunday. And Sunday looks like it's going to be another beautiful day. Plenty of sunshine all day long and temperatures in the high 60s, making for a very cool fall day. There will be on and off wind gusts in the afternoon before another night with clear skies and temperatures down in the 40s as we make our way into the start of next week. That's going to do it for this weather. Let's send it back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng joins us to take a look back on this day in history. We have a Nutmeg Sports update and some more news coming up after this.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking. To a partner that makes small businesses feel big. Where community comes first. Where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch. Where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver. Where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester, where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
I'm a filthy rich executive. I hear the market's down 1,000,000 points. I freak out. I spill my large espresso. The searing pain makes me slam on the brakes. Uh-oh, your fault. And your cut rate insurance may not cover my $90,000 car, so I sue you, because that's what I do. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Visit your local Allstate agent, Nick Montanero, at 6528 Main Street in Trumbull for a personalized quote.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Friday, September 23rd edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Ing to take a look back on this day in Honstory, as I like to call it. Though it's everyone's history, not just HAN's. But
Well, you know, today's history features a look into the future. But first we go to 1779. John Paul Jones, commanding the Bonhomme Richard, defeats the British warships Serapis and Countess of Scarborough. At one point, 3 hours into the battle, an exhausted Jones slumped against a chicken coop, and the Serapis' commander asked if he had struck his ship's colors and therefore surrendered. Jones replied that he had not thought about it, then got a burst of energy, stood back up and yelled, "I may sink, but I'm damned if I'll strike." As defiant replies go, that was pretty good, but First Lieutenant Richard Dale improved the reply to the now known "I have not begun to fight" in a written account of the battle 40 years later. Jones would go on to become an admiral in the Russian Imperial Navy. The Richard sank the next day, but its name has been revived on 3 later Navy ships, including the legendary World War II carrier that was later renamed Yorktown. To 1889, Nintendo Corporation, founded by Fusajiro Yamauchi, to produce and market the playing card game Hanafuda. Over the years, the company would diversify with products including taxi services, instant rice, and, of all things, love hotels. It was not until 1979 that the 90-year-old company went into electronics. Now we go to New York City, 1908. A game between the New York Giants and the Chicago Cubs ends in a 1-1 tie after Giants first baseman Fred Merkle was called out because he failed to touch second base on what should have been a walk-off single. Cubs center fielder Solly Hoffman threw the ball to second baseman Johnny Evers, but the Giants first base coach Joe McGinnity saw what was happening, intercepted the ball, and threw it over the grandstand. The Cubs retrieved the ball, or at least a ball, and touched second, forcing Merkle out and negating the run. Fans, thinking the game was over, were already on the field to exit the park, so the game was ruled a tie. The Cubs would win the makeup game and the pennant by 1 game. The so-called Merkle's Boner game remains the most controversial in baseball history. Finally, now we go to 1962 for this.
The Jetsons. Brought to you by Scotch Brand Magic Mending Tape. Looks frosty on the roll and invisible on the job. Scotch Brand Magic Mending Tape in the green plaid dispenser.
That is The Jetsons, premiering in primetime on ABC. It's notable because it was the network's first program broadcast in color. The show would only run for 1 season in primetime, 24 episodes. A 1980s Saturday morning revival saw the production of 51 more episodes. And you know, of all the Jetsons gadgets, I thought that magic tape there might be the most impressive of them all, but that's just me, so. Anyway, that is your look back in history for today, September 23rd, and I'm Donald Ing.
all right, thank you so much, Don. I didn't get any right in that.
Yes, I
time,
thought you looked
but,
dejected.
You know, it's all right. It's okay. But in other news today, numerous car burglaries were reported in Darien over the weekend, last weekend. A Hoyt Street resident responded to his Ford Explorer's burglar alarm after midnight on September 18th. He told police he saw a man running from his driveway and the interior light of the home's second car, a Mustang, was still on. Another Hoyt Street resident reported a pair of sunglasses stolen from his car the following morning. Also, 9 vehicles on Georgian Lane, Lake Drive, Phillips Lane, Echo Drive North and Hoyt Court were entered during the overnight hours between September 18th and September 19th. An alarm sounded at the Georgian Lane home, prompting the resident to call the police. However, nothing was taken from most of the vehicles, though 2 cars at Lake Drive residents had a total of about $6 taken. In each case, though, the cars had been left unlocked. Let's throw it back over to Frank Cornito for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Taking a look at some of the scores from around the FCIAC yesterday, in boys soccer, West Hill came out on top of Ward by a score of 3-0. Wilton edged out St. Joe's 2-1. Greenwich held off Ridgefield 2-1. Danbury remained undefeated, besting Darien 2-0. New Canaan earned their first win of the season, beating Trinity 9-0, and Stanford beat McMahon by a final score of 4-2. In field hockey, Ward came out and beat Stanford by a final score of 5-1. That picks up a critical 2 points for the Mustangs as they move into a tie for 4th place in the East Division. And McMahon able to squeak out a win over Danbury 2-1. That was their second victory of the year. Don't forget that this afternoon, the HAN Network will be live at Darien High School when the New Canaan Rams travel across the Merritt to take on the Blue Wave in the battle for Exit 37. New Canaan comes into today's game with a record of 3-1, suffering their first loss of the season Tuesday against Norwalk. Darien last played on Wednesday when they blew out Greenwich by a final score of 8-1. The Wave, currently 5-0, is tied for first place in the FCIAC. And finally, we will be live from Darien again tomorrow starting at 11:15 when FCIAC Tailgate kicks off our Saturday football coverage, getting you ready for our game of the week between Greenwich and Darien. We'll be joined by Greenwich and Darien players on Tailgate, as well as announcing our winners for Athlete of the Week presented by Runner's Roost and for the fan vote game for next Friday night, September 30th. Again, FCIAC Tailgate starts at 11:15 and our coverage leading up to kickoff starts at 1:15. Kate, one thing Don did not mention, though, that 1908 Cubs team, the last time Chicago Cubs won a World Series, that is the longest championship drought in all of sports.
Wow. All right. Fun fact there, Frank.
There you go.
Fun facts with Frank.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Getting back to news today, in New Canaan, a modified plan for the proposed Merritt Village residential development still drew a lot of criticism from residents at Thursday night's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The plan was modified to reduce building heights facing Maple and Park Streets to improve aesthetics. More than half of the public speakers expressed opposition to the plans. The town hall's largest meeting room was at capacity with over 100 people present for the continuation of that public hearing. One member of the public, Michael Aldrich, the president of the Maple Park condominiums, who had spoken against the project in the past and written letters saying the project would create traffic and parking problems, expressed praise for the applicant Thursday for moving in the right direction. While he spoke, he maintained that there would be problems with sightlines for drivers coming from Maple Street onto Park Street. 8 members of the public spoke against the proposal, 3 spoke in favor, and 4 spoke with some concerns. But there's a lot more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. And this is fun. You can take a photo with John Lennon's 1972 Chrysler station wagon. The vintage car, previously owned by John Lennon and now owned by Darien resident Hank Goella, will be available, weather permitting, for photographs prior to Beatles Night, the DAC stage event taking place on Saturday, September 24th. Tickets for the show, which begins at 8 o'clock in the DAC Weatherstone studio, are $30, and photographs with the car can be taken for a fee of $20 from 7 to 7:45 p.m. You can get a lot more on that story at DarienTimes.com. We are going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to run down the top stories of the week across all of our websites after this.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through September 30th.
1, 2, 3, Abby! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done! What did you take advantage of right now. Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think. Trust your technique. Bring it back.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Players have access to soccer, lacrosse, football, baseball and softball, field hockey, rugby, basketball, volleyball, and social game facilities. InSports has also launched an early childhood development program, a daycare and pre-K program all rolled into one. Don't miss out on the fun. Find out more at insportscenters.com or call 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
At the Ridgefield Suzuki School, we believe that every child can. Using the internationally recognized Suzuki method, children learn to play their instrument in an environment of encouragement, parental support, and community. The Suzuki approach seeks to develop the whole child, to help unfold his or her natural potential to learn. Private lessons and group classes are offered on violin, viola, cello, and piano for children ages 4 and up, and young children can enroll in their school's early childhood classes before beginning an instrument. The Ridgefield Suzuki School, nurturing a love of music in all children. Call us at 203-403-2667 or visit ridgefieldsuzukischool.com.
At Elements Massage Ridgefield, we believe in quality services that are affordable and focused on therapy and healing. The licensed massage therapists are available 7 days a week, offering deep tissue and Swedish massage, as well as prenatal and couples massage. Special introductory rates are available now, or try our Elements trademarked wellness program. For more information, contact Elements Massage Ridgefield at 203-403-3348 or visit elementsmassage.com/Ridgefield. We're back on this Friday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to recap some of the top stories across all of our HAN Network community news sites this week, the ones that got the most hits and the most attention, including updates this week on what Weston officials are calling the most horrific case of animal hoarding that they've ever seen. It caused a great deal of reaction in the Weston community and beyond. Last Thursday, officials were called to 82 Newtown Turnpike because of a terrible smell that they feared was a dead body. They ended up finding hundreds of birds, snakes, and reptiles, both dead and alive, inside the home and an aviary outbuilding on that property. Rhode Island Parrot Rescue arrived at the Weston home and removed more than 100 exotic birds to take back to their headquarters in Warwick, Rhode Island. They said the smell was so bad in the 2-story aviary that the team had to wear full isolation gear and respirator masks. The Rainforest Reptiles organization was also called in to help with the snakes and reptiles. They said some of the animals had been dead for weeks, if not months, and they called the conditions indescribable. They ended up rescuing 89 snakes, 1 tortoise, and a lizard. They said their immediate duties include rehydrating the animals and feeding them because it looked as if many had not eaten in a long time. Rainforest Reptile Shows will act as a holding center to make sure those animals have food, water, and shelter. The property owner at that home, Daniel Copulis, is the executive director of the Animal Preservation Alliance and the owner of Fauna NYC, a pet store. There have not been any criminal charges filed in the case, but the Weston Forum will continue to follow it. And a death last week in Ridgefield is being investigated as a possible heroin overdose. The Ridgefield Police Department's Detective Division is investigating the possible overdose death of a 26-year-old female, which was reported to police on the evening of September 14th. Police said at this time that investigation is ongoing and they're awaiting the exact cause of death from the medical examiner's office. Police confirmed that the drug suspected in the death is heroin. The victim died at her home in Ridgefield. The fire department, which provides ambulance services in town, responded to the scene but did not take the victim to the hospital or provide treatment, suggesting that it was too late. And another of our top stories this week was first reported by the Darien Times last Friday. The historic Ziegler property, located on 63 acres on Darien's shoreline, is up for sale for the first time in a century. The realtor, David Ogilvy and Associates of Greenwich, has listed the price as $175 million. The Darien Times received some new details about the home and sale this week. That house has 10 bedrooms, 8 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms, and 4 fireplaces. The estate is owned by the descendants of industrialist William Ziegler, who bought the property around 1900 and used it as a summer home after making his fortune in baking powder. The estimated mortgage payment for a 30-year loan is estimated by the real estate firm Mortgage Calculator as nearly $700,000 a month. According to Darien's Planning and Zoning Department Director Jeremy Ginsberg, the property is zoned R1, which allows for a single detached one-family dwelling on each lot. He added that planning and zoning staff would work closely with any buyer or applicant on reviewing and analyzing potential redevelopment options. And Stratford was pretty close to losing Sikorsky aircraft, according to Governor Daniel Malloy this week. Malloy said in Stratford on June 2nd that Sikorsky was going to another state, but he said, "We turned it around and we won." The Stratford Star reports that perhaps Wednesday will be considered an early victory lap. Malloy joined executives from Sikorsky's parent company Lockheed Martin and state and Stratford representatives Wednesday to celebrate a nearly finalized pact between the state and Lockheed that will keep the famed helicopter manufacturer in town through at least 2032. Here's what Governor Malloy had to say when speaking to reporters.
That we were able to reach agreement on is that the supply chain here in Connecticut would be enlarged greatly. So right now they buy about $450 million a year in the supply chain in Connecticut with respect to the products that are currently being produced here. That's going to go up by about $350 million. Not overnight, but over time. It was important to me to get that. Let me just say this. It was important to me to get that because it shouldn't just be Sikorsky people who are benefiting. It should be everybody in the state that's benefiting. So from Stamford to Stonington, from Torrington to wherever you want to mention, and particularly along the I-95 corridor from actually 95 to 91 corridor, that's where the supply chain is.
Thanks to Melvin Mason of the Stratford Star for sharing that video with us. And finally, our first set of Athlete of the Week nominees for the fall season, brought to you by Runner's Roost of Darien, is by far our top story of the week. You can still vote today for your male and female picks at HAN.network. Those winners will be announced tomorrow, Saturday, on FCAC Tailgate at 11:45. Very exciting there, Frank. I know it's going to be a busy weekend for us.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have Athlete of the Week and our fan vote game to be announced on Tailgate. We'll also have Greenwich coach Johnny Marinelli, Darien coach Rob Trifone, a couple of players, a lot of stuff to cover on Tailgate and only in 45 minutes to do so. So it's going to be a very exciting Saturday. Don't forget, we've got field hockey this afternoon. And just because it's Friday, I will give you one more look at the weekend's weather.
Awesome.
It'll be partly sunny out today, very warm again with temperatures in the mid to high 80s and very humid. Overcast tonight with possible storms moving through the county early on into Saturday morning. Could see one or more showers early on Saturday before before it clears up by the time that FCAC Tailgate starts right here on the HAN network. Mostly sunny and very windy tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures comfortably, though, in the low 70s. Sunday, we will see even more sun as it will be very sunny out, no clouds in the sky almost, 68 degrees, and it will cool down into the 40s Sunday night with clear skies overnight as we head into the start of our week.
All right, Frank, thank you so much. We're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break, but of course, field hockey live at 4. Tomorrow, FCAC Tailgate starts at 11:45, football kickoff at 1:30, and we'll see you for your coffee break tomorrow, Monday at 11.